Israel has formed an emergency unity government as it pounded Gaza to root out Hamas and deploying forces north of the densely populated enclave, where the Hamas members said that they were still fighting after their cross-border assault. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has agreed to form a war cabinet with former Defense Minister and opposition party leader Benny Gantz and focus entirely on the conflict. This is, of course, coming after a joint statement from Gantz's National Unity Party. Meanwhile, Israel's death count has risen to over 1,200 with over 2,700 wounded. These are, of course, the latest updates. Meanwhile, Brian still with me on the broadcast for more details. Brian, before I come to you, let's in fact listen in to what Benjamin Netanyahu has to say.
Israel is at war. We didn't want this war. It was forced upon us in the most brutal and savage way. But
all right, Brian, over to you. Brian, what can you tell our viewers about this unity government in Israel?
Israel established an emergency unity government while intensifying its military operations in Gaza to, eradicate the Hamas. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also, agreed to create a war cabinet alongside former defense minister and centrist opposition party leader Benny Gantz, focusing exclusively on addressing the conflict. U.S. President Joe Biden also condemned the surprise assault by hundreds of Hamas gunmen on populated areas in southern Israel as sheer evil, issuing a warning seemingly directed at its Israeli as well as its Iranian supporters. Israel's death toll also, rose to 1,200 with over 2,700 wounded due to the long hours of rampage by the Hamas member after breaching the border fence enclosing Gaza. That happened on Saturday. The Al-Qassam brigades, that is the Hamas's armed wing, claimed that they were still fighting inside Israel, and even Israel deployed tanks and even armored vehicles north of Gaza in response. Although there was no immediate comment on Hamas's assertion, retaliatory strikes in the blockade enclave have also, resulted in over 1,000 deaths and 5,000 injured, according to the Palestinian officials as well. The UN also reported that 9 staff members of the Palestinian refugee agencies were also among the casualties. And Israel has also, imposed a total siege on Gaza, hailing the supply of food and fuel to 2.3 million living there. In response to this escalating crisis, also Israel shifted schools to remote learning and provided more firearms to, licensed citizens, anticipating possibly friction between its Jewish majority and even Arab minority. Meanwhile, violent incidents also, occurred in Israeli-occupied West Bank, where Palestinians were reportedly shot at and wounded by Israeli settlers as well. And the international community is also being urged to intervene urgently to prevent a humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. The Palestinian UN envoy Riyad Mansour also accused Israel of war crimes in a letter to the UN Security Council. And yes, the situation remains still tense and highly volatile, with efforts ongoing to find a resolution and also to mitigate the humanitarian impact on the affected populations.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.